minister to do exactly what Beijing has offered, which would be to drop the 100% tariffs on EVs in exchange for them to drop those 100% tariffs on canola products.
China's ambassador to Canada saying canola tariffs will be dropped if Canada drops its tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles.
Canada has 100% tariffs right now on Chinese electric vehicles, and that's good for the Ontario auto industry. But China responded with tariffs on Canadian canola.
It began quietly, small diplomatic movements that almost no one noticed. While Washington tightened its tariffs and threats against Canada's auto sector, another power made its move. Beijing reached out, offering to reopen its markets to Canadian crops, energy, and minerals, and even exploring partnerships in the fast-growing electric vehicle industry. For decades, Canada's trade heartbeat moved in sync with the United States. Nearly 75% of all Canadian exports still travel south, but when new U.S. tariffs on metals, furniture, and vehicles began to bite, Ottawa realized a painful truth. Relying on one partner had become a risk. The tension snapped in early October. At a Toronto Business Forum, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said, "When it comes to vehicle production, it's America first, Canada second." Behind those words stood the threat of a 25% duty on cars and parts shipped from Canada to the U.S. For Ontario, the heart of Canada's auto belt, the shock was immediate. Almost 500,000 jobs depend on that cross-border supply chain. Every car built in Ontario contains roughly half of its parts from U.S. factories. Economies that once worked as one suddenly faced a wall of tariffs. Analysts warned this could erase tens of billions in exports and spark mass layoffs across steel, aluminum, and manufacturing. Even U.S. experts admitted costs would soar for American automakers. Still, Washington held firm, insisting production must return to U.S. soil, no matter the collateral damage. That same month, while tempers flared in Washington, Beijing made an unexpected offer. Senior Chinese officials approached Ottawa with a proposal: lift restrictions on Chinese electric vehicles priced between $35,000 and $40,000, and in return, China would ease tariffs on Canadian canola and other farm exports. For Canada's farmers, shut out of a billion-person market since the trade freeze, this was a lifeline. For consumers, it meant affordable EV options in a market dominated by American brands. And for Beijing, it was a strategic masterstroke. While the U.S. imposed 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs, China was courting an ally that felt cornered. Inside Ottawa, Prime Minister Mark Carney recognized both danger and opportunity. Rather than mirror U.S. aggression, his government introduced a quiet new strategy: sectoral resilience. Instead of one giant free trade deal, Canada began pursuing smaller, focused partnerships: steel with Japan, aluminum with Korea, agriculture with China, and minerals with Europe. Carney announced new funding for manufacturing and clean energy, while maintaining a 25% counter-tariff on U.S. vehicles entering Canada. It was a message wrapped in diplomacy. Canada will talk, but it will not bow. Publicly, Carney's tone remained calm and professional. Privately, officials called the shift economic survival. Trump's economic nationalism had little room for partnership. His administration treated trade like a contest of winners and losers. But in doing so, it began losing both. Data from the U.S. Commerce Department showed steel and aluminum prices up nearly 20% since early 2025. Auto prices climbed, profits fell, and assembly lines across the Midwest slowed. In Michigan and Ohio, factory output dropped nearly 2% for every 10% rise in tariffs, according to the Chicago Federal Reserve. What began as a push for industrial strength was turning into a strain on workers.
The same pressure echoed thousands of miles away. In Japan, Japan's economic minister refused to finalize a trade deal until the U.S. clarified its demands. Washington wanted Japan to invest 550 billion yen in rebuilding U.S. manufacturing, an ask Tokyo viewed as tribute, not partnership. Business leaders called the deal opaque and rushed, warning that Japan's trust was fading fast. In South Korea, the backlash was even louder. President Lee Young-mung rejected a proposed $350 billion U.S. investment plan, calling it a financial threat. Soon after, U.S. immigration officers raided a Hyundai site in Georgia, detaining Korean engineers, an incident that Seoul's media labeled public humiliation. The fallout was swift. Korean firms slowed expansion plans, quietly reviewing future investments in the United States. From Tokyo to Ottawa, a pattern emerged. Washington demanded loyalty, but offered uncertainty. Its allies, instead of aligning, began diversifying. For Canada, that meant necessity into strategy. Exports to Asian markets are climbing. Energy deals are expanding, and diplomatic missions once centered on Washington now include Beijing, Seoul, and Berlin. Carney's approach was not defiance, it was adaptation. When one door closed, Canada built others, and each move sent the same message. Strength lies in flexibility, not fear. By late October, the optics told a different story. In the Oval Office, President Trump sat beside Prime Minister Carney, smiling for the cameras. The handshake was firm, the flags perfect, but the tension beneath was undeniable. Trump was defending his economic vision, but control was slipping. His tariff war had fractured allies, driven up costs, and pushed friends to new partners. The policy meant to make America strong again was now strengthening everyone else's resolve. Across North America, leaders and workers alike are drawing the same conclusion. True influence can't be built through threats. Carney's pivot may mark a historic shift. Ottawa no longer defines its strength by proximity to Washington, but by its ability to make independent choices. America's campaign of pressure, from tariffs to ultimatums, has left it surrounded not by loyal allies, but cautious ones. In diplomacy, power isn't about who shouts loudest, it's about who moves smartest. Canada just made its move, and the world is watching.